Welcome to another edition of Dad's Divorce Live. I'm Matt Allen, editor of DadsDivorce.com. Today I'm joined by Janks Morton, a renowned filmmaker who has turned his camera lens to the controversial family court system and how it is systematically stripping fathers of their rights. His documentary, which premieres Tuesday, July 26 in Washington, D.C., is appropriately called Guilty Until Proven Innocent. Now you can learn more about the film, watch a trailer, and even order DVD copies by visiting the film's website, gupifilm.com. And you can learn more about Janks and his other movies by visiting his website, whatblackmenthink.com. So Janks, I know you're extremely busy. You've got two other films you're filming right now and a premiere coming up, so I appreciate you taking the time to join me.
My pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
Now, first off, with Guilty Until Proven Innocent, why did you make this movie? What is your personal connection to this topic?
About 5 years ago, when I was shooting my first film, I met a young man by the name of Jamar Johnson. And although I've gone through the family court system, and it did not have such a tragic outcome as Jamar's. Jamar basically was falsely accused of child abuse of his own daughter right when she was born by the mother and father of the mother of the child. So it was the child's grandparents who were very well-to-do. One was actually a lawyer. Falsely accused him because they didn't like him. He was deprived any visitation or any type of contact with the child for 9 months. And then his first encounter, he was put into a boxed room behind one of those two-way mirrors while a psychologist observed him changing the diaper to make sure that he was not a molester.
Oh, my gosh.
With that, and like I said, it was a false accusation. It took 2 years to get out of that. With that, and then the stories that I've compiled over the years, and then the men who are giving their kind of stories inside of the film, Guilty Until Proven Innocent. I know that there is a willful, almost sinister kind of ideologue inside of child and family courts to take a fragile family, people that are either in conflict or at risk, pose them against one another for their own profit. And too often, approximately 84% of the time, the fathers end up on the short end of the stick.
Now, one of the goals of your documentary is to dispel these damaging stereotypes against fathers. So what are some of those addressed in your movie?
I think the one that's kind of getting a lot of the controversy is that if you want the worst outcome for a child, be it education, teen pregnancy, mental disorder, incarceration, it's a bunch of social indicators that go around this. The worst outcome for a child is to put them in a single-parent home, and the absolute worst is to put them in a single-parent home with their mothers with no paternal contact. I think that's a new paradigm. When the original kind of legislations hit the books 40, 50 years ago, it was just assumed that a child's best interest or the best interest of the child was with the mother and the mother only. That model just does not work, and the social sciences have come back and disproved that theorem, that especially for young boys and even more for young girls, sustained paternal contact and support leads to some of the best outcomes for children. And I'm not an advocate for single-parent homes on either side. I'm an advocate for children and families.
Right. Now, Mike McCormick, a friend of the show and someone who is also involved in Guilty Until Proven Innocent, your documentary, and also the executive director of the American Coalition for Fathers and Children, he has this quote that says, "The routine and unnecessary separation of children from a parent is creating a nation of fatherless kids." So what can be done, what solutions are presented in your film to solve this serious but hopefully correctable problem?
It's a two-pronged kind of look at this problem, and I fall on the latter. I'll give a description of what the typical, from ACFC or any of the other fathers and families organizations working around this issue, and we part ways on this. Typically, the strategy is how do you navigate, negotiate, and reform a system that's in place already. So they do great work with assisting men to try to get better outcomes and more contact with their children. I'm on the side of the fence where I believe the system is, again, wholly sinister and absolutely biased against men. I'm not trying to navigate. I'm in the process of working with legislatures around the country on how to dismantle it. So one of the kind of tools that we have at our disposal is that there's 26 states in this country that are issuing referendum states. So one of the more disturbing stories inside of Guppy was a great legislator, state of Maryland, by the name of Delegate Jill Carter, put on the table the rebuttable presumption of shared custody. As a bill, and it makes sense that a child should spend equal time with both parents.
Right.
The entire women's caucus walked out of the State House when the bill hit the floor.
Wow.
So if you've got a legislative body that is unwilling to even engage in the debate, then I say through the issue of referendum process, you take it to the people.
Right.
Let the people decide if a child's best interest is served by spending equal time with both parents. Circumnavigating a system that really it collapsed on itself. That case study showed me that when a body is under attack, all systems collapse to protect the body. The legislatures who have some way, shape, or form work with or work for the family and court system, the judges, the lawmakers, they're all invested in the system. So why would I try to navigate or negotiate with a system that is invested in saving itself? It makes no sense to me.
Right.
So through this process of issuing referendum, I'm no longer talking about legislative reform. I'm talking about legislating, throw it out the back window, get rid of it.
So when people are watching your film, when that final scene ends and they turn the DVD off and the room goes silent, what do you hope is going through their heads? What do you hope they're talking about? What are you hoping they get out of your film?
A lot of the things that we've just been talking about. That one, I don't think that people understand the bias against men inside these. But more importantly, I don't think that people have really not stopped to examine a father's pain that happens when his children are stripped away from him and he's left powerless. And then he's put into a system that tells him, one, don't be too sad because that means you're weak, and two, don't get angry because that means you have the potential for violence.
Right.
But this system, what it has done to fathers and their pain, and then the pain of the children as well. I mean, I'm doing a project right now that I'm kind of exploring that topic on the children of divorce. One is Guppy, the other is Cod. But more importantly, that they will have absolute benchmarks and recommendations inside of the film on what to do. It's very, very solutions oriented. I mean, there's actual legislative recommendations through the course of the film. I mean, in my world, I think that no judge that sits on the bench in the child and family court system should be appointed. I think they all should be elected. I think they all should be held accountable to the constituencies that they represent. And I also think that they should have term limits. And no judge should make a career out of sitting on the family courts.
You briefly mentioned one of the projects you've been working on. What else are you working on that might be of interest to the dads watching out there?
Right now I'm shooting a movie called Dear Daddy, and it is about the effects of fatherlessness. I hate that word, fatherlessness, because it's bigger than just a father's absence. There's a lot more dynamic. Most of the men who've gone through the child and family court system have not walked away from their daughters' lives. They've really been pushed away. But this movie is about the consequences to young girls, teenage girls, who don't have the man there to kind of validate them, to acknowledge and approve, or just even to be there to listen to them, what that means.
Well, Janks, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. Again, if you want to learn more information about his movie, Guilty Until Proven Innocent, which premieres July 26 in Washington, D.C., you can visit the website gupifilm.com. And to learn more about Janks, you can visit his website, whatblackmenthink.com. Janks, thanks again.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
That'll do it for this edition of Dad's Divorce Live. I'm Matt Allen, editor of DadsDivorce.com.